Kindred UMC live show features adults discussing adult topics, occasionally with adult language. It may not be suitable for young viewers. Please use discretion before watching. Hello all, welcome to the Kindred UMC live show pre-recorded. My name is Chris Hayden, I'm the pastor of Kindred UMC.
Hi, I'm Courtney Young, I'm the Director of Community Engagement at Kindred UMC.
Hi, I'm Preston and I like blondes.
There you go.
She didn't even hear me.
The girlfriend doesn't even appreciate it.
Wow, welcome to life.
Yeah. So here we are in our third week of, we're recording all of these in such a weird order. Our third week of Advent, and I'm wearing my Christmas pants and my Christmas sweater.
Again.
Which I wore last week because we literally just finished recording that one. And we are talking about joy. So, as I've done often during this series, what comes to mind when I say and specifically in the Christmassy Christianese arena, what comes to mind when what impression do you have of the word joy?
Does it have to be? Do you want to go first or do you want me to go
I'm going to go first and
Good.
I'm going to break the rules.
How dare you?
The thing that immediately popped into my head that I want to scream at everyone is, there's a difference between being happy and being joyful. That's it. That's
What
all.
do you
That's
think that
the
difference
joy.
is?
Your parents telling you that's what it is?
I feel like joy means like, can you not?
Just explain. I'm
I
just looking at
can't
you.
think when you're twitching. Huh?
Go, Jags.
Stop!
Jags means joy. Go.
Being joyful means, like, when I think of joy in my own life, personally, I think of, like, gratefulness or, like, gratitude. Like, I kind of associate those things together. But
Okay.
also, like, you can be really, really, really sad and still be joyful. Like, you can still, like...
How do you mean?
Like...
Can you lift up an example or tell a story?
Like... yes. So, like...
I do better with examples.
Yes. So I'm in therapy right now, and there are days where that's really hard, and the stuff that I'm having to like process with my family unit specifically, like, is really tough. But I can still go to Thanksgiving and be with my family and like enjoy those little moments while also grieving the feelings, frustration, sadness that I'm feeling. Like, there's space for both of those things to be at the table.
Yeah. Okay. So
It's kind of what I'm getting at.
Feeling sad because we're complicated people, we're complicated creatures.
Apes.
We're complicated apes, and we have the ability to feel multiple things at the same time.
Right.
So just because you're feeling sad doesn't mean you can't also feel joy.
Yes, and specifically in the church, I feel like a lot of times sad feelings or bad feelings, and I put quotes around
They're, like,
that on
sinful.
purpose.
Yeah.
Right, because they're like, why be sad when you could just be happy?
Well, God's in control of everything, so
Right.
if it happened, then it must be good.
And we've talked about that before.
Right.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, but sad is
that
a
kind of
waste
bullshit.
time. Why would you waste your time being something else but joyful or happy?
Yeah.
Right.
Or
And
smiling.
nobody likes a sourpuss,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Yeah. You're not going to bring anybody to Jesus if you're frowning all the time. And especially with women, why don't you smile and put on some makeup, you know? Like, there's a little bit of that, too.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Preston?
I have a perfect example. So we just came back from we'd like to do Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving so people can like work during the week and like not have to take off when everyone else does. So I was driving down with my parents and then younger sister and girlfriend. And they were all
magic is on
they're-
Thursday.
Magic. And they were all asleep in the back. So my dad and I were in the front. We're listening to like Fresh Prince and like Run DMC and the shit he likes to listen to.
Parents
stuff he
just
likes
don't
to listen.
understand.
They don't understand, especially that word that I just accidentally said. Now, so my dad goes,
You're allowed to say
how do you...
Yeah, you're
I'm
allowed
just
to
not
say
allowed.
shit.
Okay, swear. My dad goes, how do you listen to music? I said, what do you mean? He's like, how, it's not that, I know you know music and you teach it. How do you listen to music? How do you hear it in your head? Because I hear it like, I want to jam. I want to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I have too much family. So when the family is not here, I want to have fun with myself. How do you listen to it? And I say, I listen to it like a movie. So I listen to it like the movie's beginning or the movie's ending, or it's a sad part in the movie, or it's a whatever part in the movie. So we hear some Fresh Prince something, and I go, this is a really happy part in the movie. And he goes, I understand you. And that the joy that I felt from having my dad find like... He's like, I understand you.
I understand
now.
you. Yeah.
That joy alone was like, I had tears in my eyes. I couldn't look at him because we're males. That's not what males do. You find a tear in another male's eye, it's kind of a
You
weird...
got some dust in my head.
Yeah, it's a little too much joy. Let's leave that joy out of here, okay? But you like Fresh Prince, I like Fresh Prince. That's what we like together. But I have opened up somewhat to him that he never got to do with his dad, or blah, 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 blah. And that's like a weird, this sad joy you're talking about. It's so passionate that he never got to experience.
So, good starting places. I'm going to read some scripture. We're gonna take a look at Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Oh, so you're just gonna ruin our stories?
Yeah, and I'm gonna point out everything you said that's wrong. No, we are going to be for those who are not in the know, Mary is a young Jewish girl. She is of the line of David, which is important because David was a king, and so she's royal blood. And she is betrothed to a man named Joseph, who's also distant relative. Like they're not like cousins or anything. They're just like of the same tribe. So they're both. This is a royal engagement. Turns out she's pregnant. And an angel appears to her and says that you're going to give birth to this Messiah that the whole family and whole nation of Israel has been waiting for generations. Like this is a thing that God has promised for thousands of years, and you're going to be the one that gives birth to this coming Christ.
This thing.
Yeah. Also in the story, Mary has an older relative named Elizabeth, and she's too old to be having kids, and she and her husband have never had kids, and yet an angel appears to her as well and says, despite your old age, you will give birth to a child, and it's like a blessing, and she's very ecstatic because she wanted to have kids and never could. And so Mary, we're about to pick up in a scene where Mary is going to visit Elizabeth. They're both pregnant. They've both had miraculous interventions. They've had visitations by angels, and neither one of them should be pregnant. Okay? So, here we go.
Just like you.
Hey.
In those days, Mary set out and went with haste to the Judean town, to a Judean town in the hill country, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. Zechariah is Elizabeth's husband. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leaped in her womb, and Elizabeth was filled with the Holy Spirit and exclaimed with a loud cry, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me, that the mother of my Lord comes to me? For as soon as I heard the sound of your greeting, the child in my womb leaped for joy. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment of what was spoken to her by the Lord." So you can hear all this ties to like this promise that's been made, and the mother of my Lord, and there's this connection between them in this special miraculous thing that God's doing. And Mary said, just like in a straight up musical, she sings a song. So Luke has Mary respond to her with a song. Now we only have the lyrics that are translated from Greek, so we don't have like the tune of it or anything like that.
I think you should have Preston sing it.
You want me to sing it?
No. And Mary sang, actually, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed, for the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever." And Mary remained with her about 3 months and then returned to her home. So, I have been given the impression, growing up in the church, that joy is, and I think it's important why we kind of parsed out what you were saying. Mm-hmm. I've been given the impression by the church that joy is the version of like, well, even when things are bad, you can feel happy. Not you can feel two things at the same time, but like, hey, it's not that bad. Like it is a version of like contentment.
That's kind of like what I was getting at originally. Like that's what I've been told, and my response to that is screw that.
No, you can absolutely grieve and feel sad.
It's an easy way to think,
and still appreciate moments in that. But I would say that this is a different picture of joy than that. I think that's an important aspect of like the Christian character and kind of the thing that comes from emotional maturity and like. There is something to be said very seriously about not getting along with your family and still being able to appreciate them and love them for who they are.
We see it in Gethsemane. If you guys were with us during Easter, where Jesus was on his knees, like, hey,
just like
I thought I was
literally sweating blood, crying.
I don't understand. Yeah, I'm here. This is our plan, and God's like, yeah.
So there is something different. There is something to the Christian character of being able to maintain kind of like. Not being lost when things fall apart, but being able to grieve and having permission to like still appreciate and find laughter in that.
Right.
Joy is something slightly different, at least from a biblical standpoint, and certainly from the Christian kind of Christmas story narrative. Joy is, and Mary's a great example. Joy is when God shows up. When God actually does the thing that you desperately needed to have happen, and you go, yeah! Like that's what joy is. And like when we think of like the I'm sure you're going to hear it lots of times if you're in the holiday spirit, the joy to the world. Like that's you can't sing that with like joy to the world. Like that.
My dad left me.
Like, yeah,
whoa,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I think you're not feeling it. Yeah,
it is. It's a fanfare. It's a bursting forth of a passionate, ecstatic feeling because it's an emotional response to God doing something.
Yeah, but literally what I just said is why it feels lifeless to us, especially being younger.
I don't know what you mean.
Not having an experience where joy has happened, where we sing joy to the world, and our parents are like, "Hey, sing it," or it's lifeless. There's no.
I would.
Not to say that there's not, but
I would beg to, and it's also not specifically God either. I wouldn't say that joy is limited to only what God does.
But sometimes people don't know what joy is. Some people don't feel.
So, did you ever get a Christmas present that you just absolutely were like you were hoping for?
Yeah, I got a Red Ryder BB 22 rifle. It's action shotgun pump action.
Shoot your eye out with that thing.
That's fine. Do you know what story that's from?
No.
Okay, good.
It's the Christmas story.
No, I haven't seen that movie.
Okay, so
it was Jesus and then that story.
One of my very early childhood Christmas memories. So I loved G.I. Joes, I loved Voltron, and I loved Legos. And I remember, and spoiler alert, if there are any children that are watching, parents, I'm about to talk about the magic of Santa Claus.
Legos are the answer. That's all I'm saying.
So you may want to, I'm going to pull a curtain back a little bit about the magic of Santa Claus. You may want to pause this or come back to it later. Okay, is everybody out of the room?
Are you going to say he is real after? Like, now.
Okay. All right. So I was definitely still at the age where I believed in Santa Claus and woke up one Christmas morning and the whole tree, and there weren't presents under the, there were some presents under the tree, but I didn't have the sense of
You got the idea.
And then I woke up and there were all of these G.I. Joes, and a full set of all 5 lions of Voltron, and Silverhawks too. I was into Silverhawk, and it was the tree was completely, the bottom of it was just filled with all kinds of stuff that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing! I didn't understand that could happen because it was an early Christmas, and that it was joy. And it's not just I get toys. It was the sheer surprise of we live in a world where this is possible. It was just so. And later I found out that what had happened was my mom was kind of last minute Christmas shopping, and she found a bunch of the things that I liked that were on sale. It was last minute on sale stuff, and she just was and just got them all and didn't have time to wrap them or anything, and just threw them under the tree. And so I woke up that morning, excited because every kid loves Christmas, but having my expectations just blown wide open and exceeded. And like, and I've talked about it before, but like I've also had that experience with God where, you know, I talked last week about this surrendering confession of like, I need you to show up. And God did. Like, and I've been riding that wave of joy ever since, because I still remember what it felt like to be this kind of desperate other person.
Can I step on your desperation then?
Sure.
Okay. So when I figured out Santa wasn't real, it's kind of when I started to appreciate the humans that were my parents.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same exact thing. So I learned, and then I went, this is BS. I hate everything that happens now because I know they're just doing it to make me feel good. And for whatever reason, the next year I got to the age where I realized, oh, they're taking time. They're waking up early. They're tired. They hate everything about this, and they're still doing it. It's because they know we're going to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to see what's happening.
There was a toy I wanted that was, I think it was called the Hammerhead. And I didn't understand that like toys go out of, like they don't stock them forever. You know, you can't just go to Toys R Us and buy anything ever. And I asked for Santa Claus, the Hammerhead, and I still didn't know. And I woke up and it wasn't there, and instead there was this truck, and I was like, I was like trying to reason with my mom and her then fiance, I don't know, the guy that, you know, she was seeing at the time for Christmas, and I was like, because I was reasoning with them about Santa Claus kind of screwing it up.
Yeah.
And I remember the guy saying, well, you know what? I think this one is called the Hammer, and I think that must be what. Like I was just unknowingly taking a dump all over their efforts to like make me happy, because I thought I was I was complaining to them about Santa Claus and the stupid elves who didn't get it right.
Yeah. But like my step on was when I realized I knew kind of Santa wasn't, but having younger siblings was like kind of forwarding the effort. Like I'm the front of the forge now. My sisters are a little older. So my oldest sister has the two boys that need the $90 Godzilla that shoots the blue fire out from Japan. Yeah. And she buys it for them. And I start bawling. Oh, no. I'm like, you understand. You know what boys want. They don't care to hold it.
Poor little tender Preston.
Yeah. They know what they want, and that's it. Yeah. If Santa doesn't give it to them, it's not that they don't want, it's that Santa tried. Someone tried for them, and they can wake up and go, somebody tried for me. Someone's here for me.
So what I'm looking for tonight are stories of moments of joy. Just joy.
Yeah, not gifts. Gifts suck. It's finding out.
When have you had that kind of just like joy?
Sorry, but that's what mine was. Finding out like, oh, my parents actually care about me. It's not the presents alone. It's that they wake up early. They're obliterated, tired. I smell coffee at 3 a.m. Yeah. We're making our kids feel good because we want them to be happy while we're upset and want to chew each other's throats out.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's being with my niece and nephew in Dallas and like just getting to see the world through, particularly my nephew, because he's like old enough to like talk and speak and like say things. So like whether it's teaching him a TikTok dance or like looking at him, look at every truck that goes by and being like, big truck. It's like, yeah, that's joy.
So we were in Eustis before this, and I was appointed to kind of a more traditional older church before this, and it was a good church with fine people, but not like our natural fit kind of a church, and so there was always this disconnect, and I could feel it, and we could feel it, my wife and I, and we talked about it all the time, and we also left our base group of dancers and friends over in Tampa, and we thought that was going to be here in Orlando, and it just kind of wasn't. We just couldn't find a place that connected. And I remember talking with John Legg, the patron saint of Kindred City, and the former pastor of Aloma, who was here before me. And I remember talking to him about, and just the development of, as he and I were talking, he was asking for some help and some perspective, and I was doing the same thing with him. Like we're just kind of being colleagues together. And then that led gradually into this idea of Aloma doing this radical decision to do this, to sell off the land, relaunch in an entirely new kind of different way. And John, as we talked, John being like, I'm just not the right fit for that. And I think that it needs to come with a new appointment. And I remember like getting my hopes up because I wanted it. I wanted this appointment. I wanted it bad. And getting my hopes up and how nervous I was when I met with our DS, Bob Bouchon, shout out if you're out there. And I had a meeting with him. We got like lunch somewhere and just not holding back and being like, we're an itinerant system, so the bishop tells me where to go, you know? But I remember being like, Bob, I serve at the pleasure of the bishop, and I don't want to, override the itinerant system. You tell me where I'm needed, and that's what we'll do. That being said, I want it. I want this appointment. I'm the right person for this job. I want to do it. I have ideas about it. I've already met some of the people there. I get along with them. They get along with me. I think I understand what this is, and I want it, and I feel called and passionate. And I remember being like, all right, there's all the cards on the table, and it's just like, it's like asking a girl out. It's like asking a girl to dance in middle school, Like, so I don't know. What do you think? And he's like, and I was under the impression that people were competing for the job, but apparently I was the only one who really wanted it. But I didn't know that at the time. And there was this deep breath, and he was like, all right, yeah, I think we can make that happen. And I was like, and it was, I was in a business meeting, so I was like, that's really great. But inside I was like, yeah, got it. I loved it. And there's something about that anticipation, the wanting, the yearning for it. And that's another thing that sabotages joy that Christians do, is they tell us not to pay attention to that wanting and yearning. You're supposed to take what you get from God.
Yeah, be humble.
You get what you get, and you don't pitch a fit, and don't want anything, because then you won't be open to what God's doing. And no, this one, I was asking for it. God, I want this. I need something that reminds me of why I got into this work right now, because I'm not connected to it as strongly as I was. And it was this sincere yearning prayer of please show up for me in this way. And then when it happened, it was like, yes! My soul magnifies the Lord, for he has done great things for me. That's the heart of joy at Christmas. And that's why we give gifts, and that's why we do Santa Claus, and that's why we like to have kids around, because they're not afraid to be like, Lego! It's the spirit of Christmas is an internally.
But your filtering
joyful.
Is you got it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
You're feeling it. I'm so glad you're feeling it.
So, if you enjoyed this conversation, especially if you stuck around to the end, that's a good indication that you should subscribe. So please subscribe, and that way you can hear us talk about stuff next week. And anything else?
I actually had something, but we should end.
Okay, yeah, we're a little out of time. If it takes a little longer than 30 seconds. Okay, well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you joy.
No peace, only joy.